Hey friends, Michael Shainblum here. Before the pandemic hit, I had the opportunity to take a really awesome day trip to Yosemite National Park after a fresh snowstorm. And I realized during that shoot, I shot pretty much every single landscape photo on this Sigma 100-400 lens. In this video, I'm going to share with you why that was the case and also why these ended up being some of my favorite photos of the year. Our vlog starts out at the beautiful tunnel view during a misty morning. I'm just gonna kind of play around with the telephoto lens and do some nice intimate foggy shots because I've been seeing the way the fog has moved. Every few minutes the scene changes and new compositions get revealed. So I'm trying to get a little bit of that right now. There's just some beautiful atmosphere right now. I photographed this view countless times, and I honestly can't recall a time that was this gorgeous. It was amazing seeing the valley caked in snow, and the low-hanging mist just created all this beautiful atmosphere to work with. So this image was taken at about 100 millimeters, and I decided to zoom in on Half Dome in the distance, and this is what I got. When I was younger and the first time I saw Half Dome driving through the valley, I was almost awestruck by the beauty. And so anytime I see an image of Half Dome, it brings back a little bit of that nostalgia. So after capturing those images of tunnel view with El Cap and Half Dome, we decided to go into the valley and check out Valley View. Pretty stunning view of Yosemite. Looks really incredible with all the snow. And what I love most about this view right now is the fog lifting off of the cliffs in Yosemite. So I've got the Sigma 100-400, and I'm honestly just picking off handheld shots right now, and I'm watching as the fog lifts and changes, and doing shots from 100 to 400, I'm able to pick out little scenes and create some really unique images, because as a whole, there's not a ton of fog in the valley right now anymore. The fog kind of dissipated as the sun came up, but there is still some fog over El Cap and over some of the cliffs, and I'm able to really engulf the scene in that fog using this lens. And it's cool because every minute or so the fog changes. So every minute or so there's a different opportunity for a new photograph, a new composition. And at one moment a little ridge will be sticking out of the fog, and then 2 minutes later that could be covered and another ridge starts showing. So it's worth, sticking around, waiting, watching what happens, and taking some different photographs as the scene changes. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So this is definitely one of my favorite shots from the day. This warm glow just kind of pierced through this thick layer of fog and created this incredible atmosphere to work with. And I decided to go for a pretty warm tone for this entire image. I love these 3 layers of fairly similar cliff faces that go through the image from the bottom right up to the top left. Just such a fun scene to work with here.
So that was honestly one of my most productive days out shooting landscape photography. I mean, I couldn't have asked for better conditions, and I just had so much fun exploring the landscape with the 100 to 400 lens and really focusing in on those details. I wanted to create my own landscapes and not just show the entirety of Yosemite National Park. It's a gorgeous park. I've visited it for many years, but I think I wanted to go for something a little bit different. Now, I actually had the opportunity to teach at Out of Yosemite, a photo conference, earlier in the year. And funny enough, I actually did pretty much the exact same thing that I did for this trip. I shot almost every single image with that 100 to 400 lens. And I want to show you some of those images because I think they're a nice contrast to the winter images I captured on this last trip. So here's something a little bit different, focusing on Bridal Veil Falls in Yosemite. And again, just a bright blue sky, sunny day, but waiting for the right moment where the waterfall is almost completely in shadow, but you can see the light kind of just piercing through and creating this warm glow on the left side of the falls. And then I used a really quick shutter speed to really grab those textures. I didn't want to blur the water out. I didn't want that smooth, long exposure look. I really wanted to just isolate the motion so I could see all those little textures as the water was pouring down. So this is kind of an interesting contrast from those foggy cliff shots that I showed previously, where you can see the snow, you can see all the fog engulfing the scene. The fog, the snow, and the atmosphere really helped to isolate those cliffs. Really what helped to sell this image was just the lighting, waiting for that right moment where you could spotlight the tree and the rock right below it, and then have everything else in shadow. I mean, this moment happened for maybe half a minute, maybe even less than that. Snapped a few pictures, and then this moment was gone. But I was able to grab this with the 100 to 400 lens. And of course, it was, again, a bright, sunny day. Not a lot happening for the wide-angle lens, but I was able to capture this moment. I think it's easy sometimes to get into the mindset of, well, this place has been heavily photographed. Is there anything else I can say about the place? There's tons of images that exist of Yosemite National Park. It's one of the most famous places for landscape photography. And it's easy to take a look at that and be like, well, you know what? I just want to go somewhere that hasn't really been photographed or that isn't very popular, because then I'll be able to create something more unique and more interesting. And while I do enjoy exploring new places that haven't really been photographed as much, I don't think you always have to do that to create an interesting or unique photograph. And I felt the same way about the Milford Sound in New Zealand. I had heard, some friends had told me, oh, Milford Sound, it's cool, but, you just go to that one viewpoint at the end with the mountains and you take the shot at the viewpoint. And so in my head, I was like, I want to see it with my own eyes, but I had this preconceived kind of thing in my head saying, well, I'm probably not going to get a unique shot here. I think it's going to be more just the experience of seeing it. And then I went there and shot some of my favorite landscape photography. Now, I didn't really shoot an image of the famous viewpoint of the Milford Sound at the end. I just shot all along the way, all along the road, the different waterfalls, the different cliff faces, the rainforests. It is truly a spectacular place, and I've found that more often than not. It takes really just visiting the place and try not to have those preconceived ideas of what the place is supposed to be about. Create your own experience with the place, and I think you'll be able to tell better stories about the place. So I think that's going to wrap it up. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be releasing a bunch of new videos in the future. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.